There's something about the idea of a half-man, half-wolf canine that really strikes fear into the hearts of people. It's the idea of a creature that combines our most fearsome predator with the cunning and intelligence of a human that just makes people quake. I became involved with this whole phenomenon of researching Dogman, man-wolf, some people like to call it a werewolf, when I was working for a small newspaper in Wisconsin, and my own hometown began having rumors of some kind of, they were calling it a werewolf and reporting it to our county animal control officer as having seen this thing that most resembled a werewolf. It was 6 or 7 feet tall, hairy, walked on its hind legs, was often seen chewing or carrying roadkill or deer carcasses, and we decided to do a story on it for the newspaper, never dreaming that it would gain the international attention that it did. It went out on AP within weeks, and it has never stopped since. That was 15 years ago. The creature that people call, most often call a werewolf, but that I like to use the term man-wolf for, because I don't believe that it's a Hollywood-style Lon Chaney werewolf in the traditional sense. Some people also call it a dog man. It seems to be the same creature. And what's described in almost all accounts is something that stands 6 to 7 feet tall, can go between walking on its hind legs to walking on all fours, has a pronounced muzzle, sharp pointy ears on top of its head rather than a rounded skull like a Bigfoot, walks on its hind legs like a canine on its toe pads, leaves very different prints. They're very dog-like rather than Bigfoot-like, but larger than a normal dog. The color ranges from gray to brown to almost black, as you would expect within any normal canine species. And it is described as having a challenging glare by very many witnesses. The eyes are often described as shining yellow when it's seen in, for instance, the headlights of a car. And it has a pretty good set of fangs on it, and people who've gotten a good look at the forelimbs and the forepaws say that the paws almost seem elongated, not like a human hand exactly, but longer and sort of finger-like rather than like dog paws. Well, the creature has been sighted all over the United States and actually all over the world. I have reports from as far away as France. But it seems that it's most concentrated in the states of Wisconsin and Michigan, mostly in the southern half of Wisconsin, and in Michigan up in the UP and down to the very southern end of it. It goes as far south as Texas, into the near western states, and as far east as New York State, the northeastern tip of New York State, down through New Jersey and Kentucky, Alabama, Florida. It has a very wide range. Lots of people ask me if this could be a shapeshifter, and there are several different traditions of shapeshifter in medieval times, and really a lot of our Native American tribes believe the same thing, that rather than actually changing blood and muscles and all kinds of body tissue into the form of another animal, that it's actually almost more of a psychic transformation, that the mind creates a thought form either around the body or separate from the body that can go out from it. And this can be supported by several sightings where people have seen the creatures seem to morph either from one animal shape into another or from something that they thought was rather human-like in the beginning. And in fact, I had one witness encounter from Madison, Wisconsin. This was right in the heart of the city, where a man was walking on a sidewalk late at night and saw at first what he thought was a human crouching down, and then it appeared to be that he was looking at a canine shape. And before it was all over, it stopped, turned around and looked at him, and had the face of an ape, or he said it reminded him of a gorilla. He was a graduate student at the university with a double science major, so he was a pretty good witness in my book. Well, after 15 years of researching the bipedal canines, as I like to call them, because I think we don't really know what they are. People always want to know what I think the creature actually is. And unfortunately, I haven't had a really good sighting of one myself. And until I do, I think the jury is still out on that. But my two top theories are that it's either a specially adapted, heretofore unknown species of canine that perhaps has become very intelligent and very elusive due to its adaptation of being able to walk upright when it wants to, but also being able to walk on all fours when it wants to look like a more normal animal and perhaps escape detection. The other idea would be something along the lines of the Native American shapeshifter, where you have some sort of a magical mental process going on that the people are able to create thought forms that look like these creatures. Or it may be just a spirit being of its own. Some Native American tribes believe that this and the Bigfoot are both spirit beings that can exist transdimensionally. They are both in our world, and then when they choose to, they can find a portal, if you will, and go back into their own world or other dimension, and that this very nicely explains why one has never been captured or caught. They're very able to elude us by just going to another dimension. I've had a few people tell me that they thought they saw what I would call a man-wolf lying dead in the road. I've had several reports of this, and they usually describe it as a wolf-like creature so large that it lay almost across the whole road and covered it entirely. And I think the fact is that if you did see one of these animals dead, there's nothing in their appearance other than that they seem to have shoulders, which normal canines don't have, that would indicate that you were looking at anything but a huge dead wolf. And even if you did see an unusual structure in the shoulder, looking at one just lying down, you might just think that it was sort of an unusual musculature, wouldn't give it too much thought. You would just think that you were seeing an extremely large dead wolf or dog hybrid. I don't think anyone has captured one alive to my knowledge. I do kind of hope that someone might be able to tranquilize one someday and be able to bring it where it can be studied. I do believe that the hundreds of witnesses who have come forth and told their different encounters with this creature are, for the most part, very credible. Many of them have never heard of the creature before. They saw it, so they didn't have prior experience to feed their imaginations. And I think that the sightings lore and database that I've built so far is incredibly consistent in both the description and the behavior of this creature. I've never had anyone personally come to me with a story about being attacked by it, although they think they're going to be attacked. People are very afraid of it. It's very aggressive. It will act as if it's going to attack people, but then in the end usually just gets away. I know there are some other reports that other people have had, but I don't personally have any. With the exception of one man in Quebec who was attacked by a creature that lunged at him, grazed his hip with its fang, and then he was able to take a picture of it later for me. That's the only real attack contact that I've had reported to me personally. So it seems that these creatures are really more interested in getting away from us and being unseen than they are in having us for lunch. I do think that if people were going to make something up, they would try and spice it up with injury reports or make it seem a lot more dangerous than that.